Okay, great. Good night to everyone. My name is Tylon Joseph. I am from Guelph, that is a fishing village on the western side of Grenada, and I represent the Guelph Fishermen Cooperative Society Limited, right? I'll be your facilitator tonight, and it's Module 5, Relationship Management, right? So tonight we have some objectives.
Hey, Tylon, you're really low. I ain't hearing nothing at all. I could hardly hear you. I'm being
You can't hear
honest.
me?
No, you need to speak up. I ain't hearing anything.
Okay.
I don't know if others hearing you, they could say.
Can everyone hear me? Can everyone hear me?
I'm hearing you perfectly clearly.
Yeah, I'm hearing you as well. Loud and clear.
I'm hearing as well. I'm on the road. I have a bit of noise in my background, but I'm hearing you fine.
Okay, great. Right.
Needs a headphone.
I think Winsbert has to check his equipment.
I'm hearing.
Okay, so can I continue? Right. So tonight we're going to define what is management, what is relationship management, why is relationship management important, what are some of the different types of relationship management, and some fundamental pillars of good relationship management. What is management? Management is defined as the coordination and administration of a task to achieve a goal, right? That is basically saying having and keeping a structured way of doing things to achieve a goal, right? You have a specific way you go about to do things so you can to achieve a goal, okay? Right? What is relationship management? Relationship management can be defined as manage actions of trust and respect which influences and solidifies effective communication between different groups of individuals at different levels of association, okay? Developing trust in a person, organization, and you take care of that trust to build a relationship, okay? You try and keep that relationship for as long as possible, right? Throughout the various levels, right? And the levels being your local level, your national level, regional and global, okay? An example of relationship management as it relates to an FFO. The marketing of fish for fishers, for example, right? The business and service provided is the link that would have started the relationship, right? And the relationship manager would be the one tasked to ensure that everyone is happy and satisfied with that relationship, okay? You also have the relationship between organizations, for example, right? Your FFO has to partner with another organization to implement a project. I usually partners with other organizations to implement projects, right? Good relationship management can fulfill the role of managing those connections, okay? To ensure that both organizations are pleased with each other's contributions, right? And are satisfied with the objectives that the project hopes to implement, right? Why is relationship management important, right? It clarifies roles and expectations, right? It provides clarity, right? When working with organizations, there are times when you will need to bring some clarity to as your own organization's vision, right? There are things or organizations require, right? A certain criteria you might be required to follow, right? There are times you may need to clarify your own vision, right? To ensure you keep a very good relationship, okay? These activities need to be consciously managed, right? Especially when working with multiple organizations, right? When working with multiple organizations, there are times they might be required to do something, or they might require something of you, right? But you need to be able to solidify your position, who you are as an organization to them, right? Different organizations have different vision, right? So you need to be able to say, okay, this is what I do, this is who I am, right? And you need to be able to clarify that to them so you have a good relationship, right? It promotes longer and more sustainable relationships, right? When relationships are managed properly, it helps keep people and organizations joined together, right? Which becomes easier over time, right? The stronger the glue that bond these organizations, and the glue being me, you, and whoever else is involved in that relationship, right? The more effortless it becomes to maintain that relationship, okay? Everyone with me? Right? It promotes growth and development within and between organizations, right? When you have these good connections being formed, right? Information sharing begins, right? Everyone begins to connect, right? This aids in networking, right? The more knowledge sharing happens, is the more we know and are better equipped to protect our environment, build resilience, and secure and enhance our livelihoods, right? The more we know, the more I know, the more you know, the more everyone knows, right? Is the more better equipped we are, knowledgeable, right? Is the more better equipped we are to protect our environment, right? Because if you understand how the ecosystem works, and you understand what's important of the corals, or you understand what is important of the flying fish, or whatever it may be, right? The more we know, is the more growth and development we have within and between organizations, okay? Right? It helps disseminate information throughout the various levels, right? Information is the second most valuable resource. And I say second most because I believe life is the most valuable resource, right? After life, with only when you have life, you can be able to appreciate things, right? Life is the beginning of everything, right? Everything else is information. We are made of DNA, atoms, whatever, right? So information from the smallest communities at a local level can find its way to the global level and back down to the local level, right? So information from my FFO here in Grenada can find its way to CNFO, right? And probably to FAO, right? And back down to my organization, right? And we could do that through effective relationship management, right? To keep these connections, right? So I can message Nadine and Nadine can message me and we can keep that connection, right? We can share that information through the various levels, right? That is CNFO and my organization, okay? And we become efficient at doing so through effective relationship management, right? It promotes overall good governance of your organization, right? With good relationship management, your daily lives within your organizations will improve, definitely. With everyone respecting each other, conflict would be minimal, right? Differences in opinions are normal, right? And may spark, disagreements, right? When you practice good relationship management skills, you can prevent or at least keep these conflicts to a minimum, right? So when you practice good relationship management skills, conflict minimizes, right? It becomes less, okay? Doing this will reflect throughout your organization, okay? And extend outwards, right? I believe you need to start internally before you can extend outwards. So you need to be able to control the relationship within your organization before you could extend outwards, right? Before you could be productive on the outside, you need to have everything under control on the inside, right? Okay? You can focus on reaching out and being productive if you're focused on controlling conflict within, right? There are different types of relationships that need management, right? That is internal to your organization, right? This involves managing the relationship between your board and the floor members within your organization, right? When doing that, you have to be very mindful of your ego as a leader, right? You have to be very mindful of your ego. You need to be neutral. You have to remember to be neutral, right? You don't want to be projecting the way you see things on other people, right? I mean, and you have to be very careful of the way you say things, right? Like, I mean, you need to be less boastful and stuff like that. Yes, you need to have a high self-esteem, but you need to be able to say certain things without making other people feel bad, right? And we tend to do that quite easily, right? keep in mind being neutral while standing for your own principles. So yes, you need to stand for your own principles, but you have to keep in mind being neutral if you want to have good relationship management, right? Be open-minded, right? And willing to share your knowledge on good relationship management skills, right? So you have to be open-minded. I always tell people that you need to be open-minded. A lot of people are very, very close-minded, and that does lead to a lot of problems, right? When dealing with other individuals, other organizations, you need to be very open-minded. Everybody have a different perspective on how things should be done or how things should get done, right? So you have to be very open-minded as to how other people do things, right? And you have to be able to be willing to share your good relationship management skills amongst your board members, right? Or your flow members, right? If everybody understands good relationship management skills or good relationship management, then everybody would be able to gel together better, right? Everybody would be able to be closer together, more connected, right? Everyone has their own unique skill set. So you need to focus on the good in everybody, and everybody has their own unique skill set, right? I say people are very, very colorful, right? So you have your community level now. That is your local community, which is your direct community of your organization. You have your national community, so that is your countrywide. You have your regional community, that is the Caribbean and the Gulf over, and you have your global community, okay? The relationship between your organization and your local community, that is your schools, your churches, the media, or other interest groups, needs to be managed to ensure your organization maintains a good reputation, right? You need to have a good reputation with the schools in your community, right? With the media, with the churches, right? And you may have members of your organization that belongs to these groups, right? So you need to have a good relationship with these groups as well, right? And that would definitely reflect on your reputation as an organization, right? You have your national community. That is your relationship within your organization and other organizations across your state, right? Or province or whatever, right? This includes your other FFOs, your NFOs, your governmental organizations, or your NGOs, right? And then you have your regional community. That is your CNFO, your SERMIs, your CRFM, Canary. It's respected to where you originate, right? And then you have your global, that is your FAO, your KFW, etc., right? All of these relationships need to be managed, right? Then you have partnerships. When partnering with other organizations or multiple organizations to enact policies, implement projects, or oversee activities, disagreements can arise, right? Differences of opinions can lead to things taking a longer time to happen than projected, right? By employing relationship management skills, these conflicts and then can be resolved more quickly and ultimately be avoided, right? We have to be conscious of how we interact with each other, right? You want to respect your own values as an organization, right? What makes you, you. You want to respect that, right? And you want to deal with the issues at hand. So if you're working with another organization to implement the project, you want to deal with the issues, right? So if it's let's say it's a community cleanup or a beach cleanup, whatever, you want to work towards the issues that is cleaning the beach, not with the people, right? You don't want to deal with the people, you want to deal with the issues, right? If you could focus on the issues and not focus on people, then you'll be able to have a better relationship, right? Knowledge of your own values, your mission and vision, right? You need to have these good knowledge base of your own organization, mission and vision when dealing with other organizations, right? When you're partnering with other organizations, right? When you know who you are as an organization, then you can share it with everyone else. If you don't know who you are, how will you tell somebody else, okay, this is what I stand for, this is who I am, you know, this is where I intend to go. If you don't know these things, how can you share it with somebody else, right? Then you have your support organizations, right? When working with organizations or individuals that support your vision by donating towards your cause, you need to develop good communication and be able to maintain those relationships, right? This promotes good donor stewardship, right? And donor stewardship, this happens once someone or an organization has given support towards your cause, right? Managing those gifts to a donor's intent develops trust, right? Giving updates on the impacts of their gifts can promote a closer bond, right? Everybody always wants to know what you do with what you give them, right? So when you give somebody something, you have to give them some updates, right? Or they suppose they give you a car to run errands, right? They would want to know, okay, how is the car going? You know, is everything okay with the car, right? You need to give updates, right? As to your gifts, as to the gifts that they gave to you, right? This creates an environment to facilitate a mutually beneficial relationship between you all, right? Right. All right, so there are some fundamental pillars of good relationship management, right? The first one I want to look at is the higher levels of EQ. EQ stands for emotional quotient, right? Individuals with higher levels of emotional intelligence often have better relationships, right? Because they're more emotionally inclined, right? They are less logical like people like me, right? Individuals with higher levels of emotional intelligence, right? Good interpersonal relationship skills, right? So you practice active listening. That is one of my favorite things to do, right? You practice active listening. So before you open your mouth and say something, right? Make sure you listen to them first, right? So, and I just always do that. When you listen to other people, even before you speak, you are able to better gauge what you're going to tell them after, right? You have a better understanding of probably even their level of intelligence, you know? So you're better able to structure whatever you're going to tell them, right? So that's active listening, and you need to be able to control your emotions, right? You need to be able to identify your emotions the minute time they come up. So whether it be fear, whether it be anger, you know, frustration, you need to be able to identify the minute time you feel that way, right? So you're able to address that, right? With that, you'll have a better relationship, right? You need to have knowledge, right? You should have knowledge of your own organization principles, right? And operational goals, right? So you need to know your organization principles and the way you operate as an organization, okay? Right? You need to know how your organization functions as a unit, right? And I think everybody should have a basic level of environmental knowledge too, you know? You should know your fisheries policies. You should have a basic understanding of how our ecosystem operates, right? Because I mean, we all are part of a system, right? I mean, it's a global system, right? Everything is connected somewhere or the other, right? So, and when you know your fisheries policies and stuff like that, you know your limitations, you know exactly what you could do and what you can't do, and the parameters you may have to follow to get certain things done, right? And you need to have a modern outlook, right? Able to keep up with societal changes and trends, right? We live in an ever-changing environment, right? You need to be able to keep up with the societal changes and trends, right? Remember, everything is subjected to change over time, and that people are no different. People change over time, right? Different ages will have different opinions toward different things, right? My opinion as a younger person might be very different to the opinion of an older person, right? It might be even different to the opinion of somebody much younger than me, right? You need to be conscious of these things, and then when you're creating relationships between each other, right? People of different experiences and different background will have a completely different perspective on reality, right? You have to take these things into consideration, right? So I am from Grenada and I see things in a particular way, right? Somebody else from Trinidad would see something in a particular way, right? When you're dealing with people like that, you need to take into account the different experiences, right? What it is like growing up in Trinidad versus what it is like growing up in Grenada, or even in Grenada here, what is like growing up in Guelph as in the comparison to growing up in St. George's or in St. Andrew. You need to take these things into consideration, right? Because you would have a completely different experience, right? A different background, right? And so you have a completely different perspective on reality, right? Even in your own home, amongst your family members, right? You have a good relationship with them. I would like to believe that, right? And everybody have their own experience on reality, right? Even if you all share the same space, okay? Right. You need to have trust. You need to be understanding and fair, okay? Trust is the foundation of any relationship, and everybody knows that, right? You must have trust. Trust is the starting point of any relationship, right? Well, not the starting point, but you would like to believe that trust is the glue that holds all relationships together, right? If you're trustworthy, keeping a relationship would be much easier, okay? Being understanding shows that you're genuine and mentally flexible, right? Mentally flexible here being open-minded, right? You need to be open-minded, be able to accept other people's opinions, right? Everybody have a completely different perspective on reality, right? You need to take these things into consideration and be open-minded, right? Don't make certain things people would say surprise you, right? Or certain way people would view things surprise you, right? And everybody likes to be treated with equity, right? Everybody likes to be treated fair, right? Respect, right? Time is a very valuable and limited resource, right? If we respect each other's time, many conflicts can be avoided. If we respect each other's time, many conflicts can be avoided, right? Respecting each other's differences, right? What makes you who you are. You need to have respect for each other, right? Everybody is different, right? And we need to respect that, right? Don't project the way you think on someone else, but understand that both of you would think differently, right? And find the common grounds. You need to find what's common amongst you, right? Whether it be organizations, whether it be individuals, you need to find the common ground, right? Because everybody is different, right? All organizations are different, right? Respect each other's right to operate in the way they choose to operate, right? So everybody has a specific way they go about to do things, right? You have a specific way you go about to do your stuff, right? Everybody needs to be able to respect each other's differences, right? Respect the way you do things, right? The way you choose to operate, right? Remember, you can learn something from everyone, right? And everyone's opinion is of equal value, right? There's no such thing as a bad opinion, right? When you keep these things in mind, it's very easier. It's much easier to have a good relationship, right? Remember, you can learn something from everyone, and everyone's opinion is of equal value, right? No one wins when conflicts arise, right? Everyone loses time and energy when dealing with conflict, right? Everybody loses time and energy when dealing with conflict, right? And time is too much of a valuable resource for us to be wasting it on conflict, right? Everybody have a limited amount of time they can spend on the planet, right? So we need to manage that. You don't want when you reach on your dying bed, you ask back for the 2 hours you spend in some boardroom arguing about something pointless, right? Or in some meeting arguing about something pointless, right? You need to maximize your time and be efficient in time management, right? Right? No one wins when conflicts arise, right? And you need to be easily accessible and readily available, right? When you're employing good relationship management skills, it may require you to be easily accessible and readily available, right? When dealing with different organizations or persons across different time zones, it may require you to be very flexible with the hours of your life, right? When you're dealing with people across different time zones, it might be required to be very flexible, right? So if you're in Grenada and you have to deal with somebody that's in England, right, and you want to keep that relationship, that's a 5-hour time difference, right? So you might have to be more accommodating to you, what's your time, your time in your life to keep that relationship, right? You understand? Right? Making sacrifices like these show that you're interested in keeping the relationship. When you make sacrifices like that, right, and the other person or the other organization see that you're making those sacrifices, right, they could easily say, all right, yes, you know what, this person is very interested in keeping that relationship, right, because they would see that you're eager, right, and that you're putting it yourself and that you're displacing your own comfort, right, to keep that relationship. Okay. Okay, so I have some scenarios that I want us to look at, right? I have 2 scenarios that I want us to look at. So I guess whoever wants to attempt at the scenario or want to give us an answer, we could spend 10 minutes on this one here. So you could just unmute your mic if you want to give a response. One of your board members have a personal issue. One of your board members have some personal issues in the way you try and lead the organization, right? How will you employ good relationship management skills to try to resolve those issues? If you could take about 2 minutes or 3 minutes to look at it, and then we could answer one by one. I don't know how much people want to take a crack at it.
Hey,
And
my
keep it
brother.
2 more minutes. You're all right. Okay.
Yes, when's what?
You're right.
One of the things I can say with this is that different people on board have different ideas.
Of course.
And these are the things I just all time say, that when you is a board member
Yes,
and
sir.
the board make a decision, it
Yeah.
mustn't be individual names. It has to be come from the board, because every board member have a friend, and the friend might want a certain thing goes into the board, and first thing it had been turned down. The person will say, well, it's not me, is this and this on the board. And I think it do cause a lot of conflict, as we in the same line of how we have in this training here. And I think it's very difficult to deal with it, because sometimes we really don't deal with the issue. We deal with the problem, and still the issue is still there. But that's just my take on it, is we really have to find ways of how we can deal with this situation in terms of relationship management.
Right, and I agree. As I said before, right, you need to focus on the issues, right? You don't focus on the person's, the person, the individual. You focus on the issues. What is the matter, right? That is what you're trying to resolve, right? You don't deal with the person and who, whatever their opinion is, right? You deal with the issues at hand, whatever it is you have to get done, the objective, right? Forget your personalities, forget that. You deal with the issue, right? Anybody else want to give a crack at it? No one else?
Hello? Hello?
Okay, you go for it.
Okay, okay, I'm not too
Hello?
sure. Okay, hello.
You're hearing me?
If you don't mind telling me your name.
Oh, I am Mr. Clark,
Mr. Clark, okay.
Glenn Evans Clark.
Okay. Where you from, Glenn Evans Clark, if you don't mind me asking?
Turks and Caicos.
Okay, Turks and Caicos.
All right, good. The scenario that you have highlighted for us as a group to have a shot at in terms of how we employ management skills to be engaged with persons who have differences of opinion,
yes,
requires, in my view, that there is a clear understanding of the issue on both sides.
Okay, right.
To begin with, because the confusion will very easily could be exploited if one person doesn't understand the issue, in the clearest terms.
Yes, and I believe that.
Yes, go on. And furthermore, it's going to be easier to deal with the issue if there is a fairly good level of trust involved, especially if it's a board member you're talking about, because sometimes definitely you can have some conflicts with regard to how certain members on the board deal with certain issues because of special personal relationship with somebody else, with the other person. Also, so when that is the case, if that is the case, there's always opportunity to engage a third person who might not be so closely attached to the issue or to the persons or any one of the persons involved, and get this extra opinion. And in that case, it would separate the personal grievances in a way that each of the persons would get a clearer perspective on the matter, and the matter might be resolved far more easily.
And I totally agree, right? I honestly believe that in these situations, you probably might need a neutral party, like you said, somebody that is outside of all of that would come and be the mediator, the person that says, okay, well, yes, I understand what you're saying, understand what
correct.
you're saying. Right. I believe that, right? Anybody else want to give a go?
All right, yes, Adrian LaRota here from Nassau, Bahamas.
Okay.
Yeah, this scenario is actually very familiar because we have, because of the, we have conflicts in varying degrees because of the geographic, makeup of the Bahamas with, different islands, different practices and everything. Okay. And in life, there will always be people who will disagree with the way things are done because they want special attention, special treatment. They think things should be done in their time. What we try to do in resolving the conflict is get them to understand that when you have 300 people, that you're dealing with 300 different personalities, so no one issue is more important than the next. And what I do is when people come to me with conflicts about the way I do things, I simply ask them to put it in writing. And I've found that in 80% of the time, that actually put them out of the rest. Okay? Because if they have to write how they actually feel and what they do, then it causes them to see that, look, maybe how I feel or what I'm saying doesn't make a lot of sense. Now, there are always some who are adamant and who believe that things can be done their way, because you will always have those people who will never be satisfied with the process. And sometimes, like you said in your earlier comments, that dealing with conflicts is time consuming. And it is extremely time consuming, particularly when dealing with issues that are contradictory, or people that oppose any position simply for the sake of opposing a position. Okay? They have no idea why, but they will oppose a position. I I tend not to put too much effort into trying to resolve those kinds of conflicts because they will never be resolved. And what we do is we just keep skipping from one issue to the next, and you find that you exhaust a lot of energy dealing with issues and people who who uh, who will never see the end, well, the long-term goal, you know. And unfortunately, what I found, particularly here in the Bahamas, is that a lot of fishermen, we have a saying that they do not, they are unable to see anything further than the bow of their boat. That's a very derogatory statement. It's a very negative thing to say, but then dealing with conflicts, we find that to be very true.
True.
You know. So sometimes not everything needs to be addressed. Some things just need to be ignored, and that works best because trust me, you put out a fire today, tomorrow Friday, by Friday there'll be another fire, and that fire will probably be because people weren't pleased about the way you put out the first fire. You know. So
yeah, I understand.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's life.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that just like that.
Adrian.
Yes.
In politics, we call that kicking the can down the road.
I was just thinking that, but that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. Some people will never be pleased about what you do. You know, I don't want to be long, but just to bring this in again, we are facing another conflict now. For basically 11 years, we've been trying to get our fisheries laws amended and have the act changed. We, as fishing organizations, we spent, going back in consultation with our members, we spent 7 years getting the government to increase the fines for illegal and IUU fishing. Okay, the government went ahead and increased the fines. So for 7 years, I was saying to my guys, listen, the law does not discriminate. You think this is going to stop people, well, foreigners from coming here, and you're going to throw the book at foreigners. But the law does not discriminate. It also will apply to Bahamians. So after we got our wish with the government increasing the fines, all of a sudden everybody realized some guys went to court some months ago and they got a hefty fine for illegal fishing. They were Bahamians. So now the cry is, why are we why are we punishing Bahamians like this? I said, guys, 7 years ago when we brought this up, we were telling you all that be careful what you ask for, okay? Because the law does not discriminate between a foreigner and a Bahamian. Illegal fishing is illegal fishing, okay? So just a scenario, a real live scenario. Thanks, guys.
Okay, great for that input, right?
Tylon, before you go on, there's something I'd like to highlight with the question asked. I see recently that like you have a board and you have a membership, but your board does not have a manager. Like if you're running a business entity and some of the board members see the opportunity to get in and to manage the place now. Like they were sitting on the board and they decide to get rid of the manager of that board, and some members now use that opportunity to see now if they could run the affairs of the organization. And I think that just caused a lot of problems for small cooperative and fishing corps that run a small business, where I see the board members now, instead of they wait and the board to pay them, they are now paying themselves instead of the board because they see the opportunity. Well, I'm a board member, the manager guy, and I feel like could manage this cooperative. And the other thing now we have to deal with now is when board members inflict the laws and the bylaws, is how we do get these people off of the management board and off of the board of directors. So that's something I see happening with local boards there that board members feel now they want a manager and they now feel they could manage the affairs of the organization, and I find the organization is more collapsing now in that way.
Okay. Thank you very much for that input, right? So I have another scenario here that I want us to look at, right? You found out that someone from one of the organizations you're partnering with on a community project has been saying bad things to the media about your organization and the way you do things, right? How will you bring clarity to that organization and to the media, reinforcing your vision, your mission, and goals, right? So you could take a look at it for 2 minutes, and if you could get some others to give some input on how they would resolve that relationship issue. I've just recently joined the board, right? So a lot of this, I've never really have a lot of these practical experiences, right? And I know a lot of the members here, a lot of the people are listening to me have a lot of experience, right? So I'd really like you to share with me. So as I'm teaching you, I'd like you to teach me as well, okay? If that's okay.
Hi.
Good night.
Hi, everybody.
If you don't mind saying your name and where you're from, that'll be great.
Okay, Gianna to say Shalry. I am from the Goodwill Fishermen's Cooperative in St. Lucia.
Okay.
Looking at the scenario in front of us, and I think it's a bit of a tough one in terms of how you deal with that scenario. Because when things already in the public domain for the media, it's sometimes a bit ticklish to clean up the image that is already painted of you. But I think as the organization who has had this experience, one of the things you can do or the organization can do is to perhaps put out either a press release or a public service, well, a press release in that case, perhaps highlighting what the organization is about and so on. And I think one of the things that would work well for any organization in a scenario like that, and something that we should keep in mind as fisher organizations, is to never forget, and you mentioned that a lot in terms of, you mentioned that a bit in terms of our relation, when you're talking about our different types of relationships, you must foster a relationship with the communities that you exist in. And so if you've established that and you have some level of corporate social responsibility that you take very seriously, it means these things can then become the basis upon which you repaint that picture that this other organization has painted of you. Because if you have a track record of what you've done within your community, how you give back to the community, how you've helped young persons, how you've helped fishers in a situation, how you reached out during COVID-19 to elevate somebody's unemployment situation and so on, then you could actually use these things as a reminder. So put a release out there and reestablish your image.
Okay,
That's
great.
my contribution.
Great. Thank you very much, right? Anybody else want to give it a crack?
Well, I would try to give it a crack because in an organization that we used to do well. That is my primary organization, and it is the Goodwill Fishermen's Cooperative, which I'm a part of. And over the years, we was one of the leading gas station, and eventually now our doors are really closed. And the image that the community and Fisherfolk have against the organization is that, oh, they thief down the money and they ain't doing this, and eventually we had to put some of our because we used to credit, and we had to put some of the membership, some of the members in courts to get some money, and that kind of build a kind of image on the organization, and telling people, well, don't be a part of the organization again, because these boys are doing whatever they feel like, and the organization ain't going away because the fishers ain't getting back any benefit. And we get robbed, and we had to close our doors, and we had to close our door living with the stigma that the community and fishers see the organization. So what we did is to see if we could move in a different direction to remove that stigma, is to have more community walks and do more community involvement with the community, and showing people, well, this is not how people really thinking, to see how we could really build back the representation of the organization, and going out and assisting the youth, having youth program and youth development and skills in terms of fishing in the community. But I think, as my fellow sisters say, when the stigma is really out there, I think it's a very challenge, because people more think negatively than the positive way. And if we could really stick to the vision and the mission and the goals, and see if we could get these people with these negative ideas come back on board. But I think it's a very challenge. But I say, as we were doing what we're doing now, although we're not, our prime thing is selling gas, but what we're doing now is doing more community work to see if we could get the community involvement and have them back on board, that we could strengthen and build the organization back again.
Okay,
Over
great.
back to you.
Great. Thank you for that input, right? Anybody else? Or is that it? Because I'm really interested in this, huh? I mean, really interested in this. Okay. Right. So, okay, so I believe understanding how others employee relationship management skills is very critical as well, right? If you understand the way other persons do things, then you have a clear understanding how you need to work along with them, right? Everybody have their own unique skill set. Like I said, everybody have their own unique way they go about to do things, right? So I believe that understanding these things would help, create a better relationship, right? All right. So this is the end of my presentation, right? I saw this and I really liked it. A great relationship is about two things. First, appreciating the similarities, and second, respecting the differences, right?
Yeah, excellent. That's an excellent word.
Yeah, I really like this, right? So I just want to say thank you everybody that came out to listen to me tonight. I know, as I said before, I know time is a very valuable thing. So who devoting your time to come and listen to me, I really appreciate it, right? I hope that we'd have a better relationship after this presentation tonight, right? Gianna and Winsbot and everybody, okay? I hope that me bringing across this message would enlighten you all to have so that we can have a better relationship after this presentation, okay? Right, I really want to thank Nadine and Mitch as well, right? They did an excellent job in trying to get me prepared for this, right? Although I think I could have done better. I mean, we always could do better, right?
That's right.
Really,
Good presentation.
thanks, right? I know Nadine took a lot of her time, Mitch as well, to get me to this point, right? I had no clue what relationship management was before all of this. So I had a lot of research to do, a lot of homework, right? So
That's good, man. That's good.
Yeah, it's a good presentation.
Okay, thanks for your time.
You did well,
That
Mr.
was
Joseph.
well.
Yes.
You did well, sir. And